Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Random Chatter. This is our weekly news show covering everything there is about entertainment news. This week, we don't have a ton of stuff, but we do have the Golden Globes that are coming up, and we have some kind of previews for big releases in March. And Eric, what'd you call this episode now? We racked our brains for a title.
I couldn't come up with anything. I mean, you can't do March Madness because that means something else. I just did like March streaming showcase because, I mean, there's not like a huge quantity of things, but there are some big releases coming out in March.
There are some big releases, yeah. And, March is the only month with a command as a date, March 4th. So
that is very true.
The March 4th episode. There you go.
March. They told me that a lot in the military. I mean, I never did it, but
yeah. Well, they like to march. Yes, they do. Okay, we have the usual suspects here with us tonight. We have Lizzie, Tim, and Eric. We are all here and ready to talk about this week's news. Golden Globes. We'll get this out of the way first. Yeah. They're going on as we speak.
Literally right now.
Yep, we're doing this instead of we're doing this so we don't have to watch that, I guess.
Because you are more important to us than a bunch of people, getting awards.
Exactly. Now, we don't have a complete list of everything because they're not done yet, but so some notable stuff that was in here. I think the big winner tonight was The Crown. They're cleaning up on a lot of things. But
I'm bummed that they got
Queen's Gambit.
Best Television Drama Series because there were so many. Ozark, I know The Mandalorian wasn't going to get it. There was one other that I was rooting for in there, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember all the nominees, but yeah, there was some other ones I would like to see besides it. But it did get a lot of press. There is a big following for The Crown, so I mean, I guess it's deservedly so. But something we talked about here on the show a few weeks back, Queen's Gambit has won a couple. They won for Best TV Series, Limited Series. And Anna Taylor-Joy won for Best Actress in a Television Motion Picture.
Good. Excellent. She deserves it. That was a phenomenal series. If you guys haven't, I know all of us here have watched it, but a few people out there haven't watched it.
Oh, I haven't.
You have or have not?
No, I haven't. I have not yet.
Okay.
Oh, you should.
Lizzie, I would be really curious what you think if you do end up watching it.
I will let you know as soon as I do. It's on the list. It's on like the master list.
Good.
Which exists. I saw TikTok when it was like, oh, it's on the list? Show me the list. And then it was like that music with like dun dun.
Ugh, TikTok. Well, anyway, you owe it to yourself to watch it.
It's only the best.
It's genuinely, it lives up to the hype.
It is, yeah.
I'm
scrolling through here just to see what else is coming up.
Yeah.
Something we're going to cover on Movie Chatter this coming week. Cara Lott, Rosamund Pike, won for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Schitt's Creek won for Best TV
musical
Series,
or comedy? They need someone to educate. Somebody needs to get them like a Webster's dictionary because the word comedy does not mean what they think it means. So there was something else in that category. When I ranted about this before, I didn't even know what I Care a Lot was. Also not a comedy, but there was something else in there that was like totally not a comedy. Like some horrible thing, like, I don't know, Nightmare on Elm Street, like something that just, there's nothing funny about it possibly. And yet they listed as a comedy. And then there was the year The Martian won Best Comedy. Like what?
Right.
Oh, that's why I hate award shows. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Let's see. Jason Sudeikis won for Best Actor in a Television Comedy for Ted Lasso. That's Apple.
Okay. Yep.
TV Plus.
Everybody loves that show.
So yeah, and then Soul for Best Animated Picture.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Some good stuff in there too. Yeah, but yep, good. So yeah, I mean, you can go online and see everything else that's out there, but that was just kind of the highlights of what we've seen so far. Let's see here. This month coming up, March, because we are in the last day of February at the moment. Some big stuff coming out in March. This is kind of, when they announced some of this stuff earlier this month, I was surprised to see how many big things are coming out. It seems like the stuff that would normally be a blockbuster-esque type movie starting in the late spring, early summer has been kind of moved up to here. And I think it's because they've been delayed for so long anyways. They're just trying to get them out. And now there's really not that big push for summertime movie releases since we know we're not going to have any big theater releases this year,
and that's
per se.
Yeah, it's weird because that time period is typically because the kids are out of school on vacation, and people get out more. So the days are longer, like daylight is out longer, right? And people get out more, they're more active, they do things on the weekends, they're out anyway. So yeah, why don't we go see a movie rather than going home? Not happening right now. Doesn't matter whether it's daytime or nighttime outside, you're inside. So it's interesting that, I mean, that's really weird. It's interesting that you point that out. I hadn't really thought about it.
Until I really looked at this list, I'm like, it's weird, but you know, I guess they have more room to space things out now. You're not trying to jumble everything up into those few short weeks of the beginning of the summer and the few short weeks around, you know, middle of the summer and so forth. But I like this because we're getting more stuff over a wider period of time.
And there are more than what's in this list too. We just picked out the highlights that we think our listeners would probably be interested in.
Sure.
Yeah, like we did. So there are no Hallmark movies, Lizzie. I do apologize. I did not have that curated in my news feeds.
How dare you skip the spring and Easter selection?
I know, and Easter, like that's a big demographic, not demographic, but that's like I'm sorry. I apologize.
Fine.
Let's see, starting with March 4th, Pacific Rim, The Black, which is the animated series on Netflix. Do we know how many episodes it is or how long it's going to run for, Eric? Or
I don't know. I haven't paid close attention to it. I know that Netflix typically drops all of their episodes for things all at once.
Usually, yeah.
So once it hits, like here in a few days, it's boom, it's all there.
And I haven't even seen the second movie, so I probably should watch that.
I mean, it's a popcorn movie, but it's good.
The concept. Yeah.
It's definitely, and I mean, John Boyega's in it.
Yeah.
No, I would definitely.
Give me all the kaiju. Give me all the kaiju.
Yeah. Like,
exactly.
It's not something I'm into. Like, it's not a thing for me. And yet, both Pacific Rim movies were really good. I love them. Looking forward to watching
they're great.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the first one, at least I saw, is a fun, non-thinking, just kind of action-packed movie. Yeah. I mean, aside from the fact that I think it's kind of unrealistic to have the technology they do, but that's beside the point. They're fun. They're fun. Let's see. Coming to America 2 on Amazon on
Very much
March
looking forward to that.
5th. Yeah, this should be good. The trailers look amazing. I can't wait to go back to that series and that world they built, which would be a lot of fun. And on the same day, we have the final of WandaVision, the final episode.
Yeah.
No, don't say that. That's so sad.
The final episode
but Tim,
ever,
there's more coming from them.
You will never see another new episode of WandaVision again.
Oh, so sad.
But Tim, there's more stuff
Why
coming
you make
from
us sad?
Marvel.
I'm great at holiday parties too.
Who's that?
Let's see. March 12th, we have Marvel Studios Assembled. Is this a behind-the-scenes thing?
Yes.
Tim, I'm not even sure what this is. I haven't seen anything about
this.
Yes.
I'm the one that put this stuff in here just because he's the Marvel guy. He already gets to talk about all the Marvel stuff.
He's the Marvel guy. I'm
jealous.
The Marvel stuff. Okay, Eric.
No, it's fine.
What's this
all about? It's a thing. They do stuff. They tell you things.
They assemble.
They assemble. They disassemble. They reassemble.
You know, tab A into slot B, and
No, I mean it's like what we had with the Mandalorian. Behind the scenes stuff. This is the version for, I guess they're covering WandaVision first, but seriously though, Tim, are they just doing one episode for WandaVision? Or are they doing it are they breaking it into like what they did with Mandalorian? Do you know, like directors versus story versus effects, or?
It looks like it's only going to be one episode, but their intent is to do this for every show that they do, as well as every movie. So every theatrical release is also going to get an episode of this.
Okay.
It seems, in terms of WandaVision, you had pretty much the same, writer and director going through it. So there's a lot less for them to break things apart, if you will, like they did for that first shot of Disney Gallery. It is interesting that they're not using the Disney Gallery title, because that seems like kind of what it was created for. But obviously, Marvel Studios probably told Disney, hey, look, we're going to brand stuff the way we want to. And if you don't like it, you can go suck an egg. So that's my take on it.
I mean, if it's one of those Reese's peanut butter cup eggs,
those are good.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Let's see here. Then the big one coming up, March 18th, we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. His updated, remastered,
something.
reconfigured.
I mean, it's 4 hours long. It's a significant
really?
change.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It's being done as a series, though.
No.
Like they're doing it as a limited series, right?
There were reports. Yeah, there were reports about that. And it turns out that that's false. They are putting in an intermission, which Carrie and I talked about this last week. And I think it's like a 10-minute long intermission or something. And to me,
why would you need? Sorry, go ahead.
Because for the people in the theater,
exactly, it's a streaming movie.
That's exactly what we were saying. If you're in the theater, I get it because it's 4 hours long. But even then, 10 minutes is not enough. Everybody's going to get up and go to the bathroom all at once. And if you think you're getting through that line in 10 minutes, you're mistaken. Right. But that's a whole different thing. If I pause,
especially
if I'm at home,
when every other urinal is blocked off.
Well, there's that too. Even if it were normal times, you wouldn't be able to do it. But today, certainly not. Yeah. But if I'm going to be so pissed off if I'm like, you know what? It's like 2 hours in the movie. I need a break. I pause it and I go get some food and I get a drink and I sit down, use the bathroom, whatever, sit down and, got my plate on my lap and my whatever I'm drinking next to me. And then I hit play and then 30 seconds later, intermission. And I got to sit there for 10 minutes and I can fast forward, and then you miss the end of it. You got to stop it and rewind it a few seconds and then get right at the beginning of it and then hit play. Why? Why?
That makes absolutely no sense to me. Why would they do that? That makes no sense at all. I mean, if you're going to put it in the theater, sure, build it in then.
Right.
I mean, what could it possibly hurt to do that and then not do it in the streaming version?
Right.
Oh, God.
And it's not like it's hard to take out of the stream. Well, you don't want to have two different versions. Sure, it's digital. It's freaking digital. It's not hard to take out.
Right. No, it's not at all. No, part of me
also makes fast forwarding easy, Eric, by the way.
Yeah, but again, you fast forward it, but then you overshoot it, and then you have to stop it and then pull it back a little bit.
Well, no, if you have the voiceover, you say fast forward 10 minutes. It'll fast forward exactly 10 minutes and stop.
It's completely unnecessary, Lizzie.
It is unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
Part of me is looking forward to seeing this. Part of me wants it to fail.
I actually want it to succeed.
Is
I'm on board.
Well, part of me wants it to fail because if it succeeds, then you're going to give all these people on the internet more reason to do it for more movies and try to get. I'm like, no, I hope it fails so that they'll never do this kind of thing again.
Let me reassure you, Lou.
Yes.
People on the internet, they're going to do it anyway. If this fails, they're going to blame it on somebody, and they're going to do it all again next time too. It's not going to have any effect on whether we're going to see more of this or not. Now, I'm not thrilled about the precedent it sets, but on the other hand, we have 5 different released versions of Blade Runner out of, I think, 7 that exist. We have different versions of Batman versus Superman. We have different versions of Man of Steel. We have different versions of many other movies as well over the years. Mm-hmm. We've got extended cuts of Aliens and
but those weren't pushed by the masses to get a studio to do something like this.
Doesn't mean that the masses are going to stop pushing if it fails, though.
Sure.
Because they keep going. And here's the reason I hope that it succeeds is because I think it'll be good for the DC universe content-wise.
Well, yeah, if it's good for them, I think that's great because they do deserve a win. I think. I mean, everything they've done has not been horrible, but it's just been kind of messy.
And I think story-wise, this would maybe help.
The praise.
This one was the messiest of the bunch.
Tim, I know you're a DC guy, so we need to hear your DC comments on the DC thing. You're being very, very quiet over there.
I have My whole thing with the Zack Snyder thing has been that it has just been so incredibly blown out of proportion that even if it's good, every time I hear about it, I just roll my eyes. You had this whole release the Snyder cut thing that went on forever. And then Zack Snyder says, yep, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a movie. Nope, it's going to be a series. No, now it's going to be a 4-hour long movie. I'm just so over it. I still don't even know if I'll watch it. Because I'm really kind of at the point where I don't care. Whatever.
That's fair. I mean, I guess for me, I can separate the content from all of the drama, and I'm sick of the drama too, but I guess there have been other bigger catastrophes in internet geekdom recently that have distracted both me and everybody else from this.
Sure.
But I guess for me, it'll end up being about the content, because screw social media. Like, I'm not in social media anyway, and it's for this very reason. It's just, I have no interest in digging the few diamonds out of this toxic sludge pool that is otherwise most of social media. And that's just me. I mean, other people thrive there, and that's great. And more power to them. I wish I could do that. I have to extricate myself from that toxicity, or vice versa. And I guess for that reason, the whole Zack Snyder thing, like when it really blew up, I was annoyed. But it's been long enough now that I don't even think about it. Like, I'm only thinking about what the cuts are. Is Darkseid going to be in it? How does this affect the upcoming Flash movie? I'm only interested and only focused on the content.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. Like, the people who are...
I'm really interested to see what the differences are going to be and how they're going to portray it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that to me is interesting. I'd like to see where it's going to go and how effective they are at doing it, because obviously he's piecing it together with stuff he's had. They didn't do any reshoots for this, right? This was all just...
They did it like a few minutes of reshoots. Like, they did some, but they were so small. People thought it was, hours and hours of reshoots. Now it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something.
Okay.
Well, and that's just another aspect of it. I mean, I get that there's a lot of stuff that ends up on the cutting room floor, but okay, so we're just basically piecing everything back together, and it's supposed to be a completely different movie.
Well, but I mean, it was when Joss Whedon came in. I mean, you've got a director who is also kind of the showrunner, like the creative person behind the movie. He left when it was like 2/3 of the way done or something. And then you bring in a different director who takes the story in a different direction and did a lot of reshoots. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think this is one of those few situations where, I think there really may be enough content to truly change the film. And I could be completely wrong. And I tell you what, if you're right, Tim, I'm going to be pissed off that I wasted 4 hours.
I mean, I'm sure that it's going to change the film, but for better, for worse, I don't know.
But how effective? Yeah.
So, Lizzie?
4 hours long. I would rather get my eyes out. Like, please, kill me. I don't know. Throw me off of a bridge rather than watch that movie. Absolutely.
She's hated Zack Snyder ever since he butchered Man of Steel. Because he messed up Superman in her eyes, which I understand. I disagree with, but I completely understand where you're coming from about it. And if I felt the way you did about Superman and felt the way you did about Man of Steel, I imagine I would never watch another Zack Snyder movie again.
No, I just would not watch another Zack Snyder making a Superman movie. But in your words, it's better. So I'll let you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. That. But I mean, but basically, it's, and listen, I kind of feel, to me, Zack Snyder butchered The Watchmen.
I love The Watchmen.
I love most of The Watchmen. I thought his obsession with the song Hallelujah is obnoxious, and him playing it during the sex scene was just so eye-rolling that my eyes actually hurt and ached afterwards. And then he changed the ending that had a very specific thematic meaning in the comic book, the award-winning comic book series, that then changed that whole premise in the movie. Like everything else is almost shot for shot from the comic book, and then he changes the ending. It kind of changed the whole meaning of the story. So, yeah.
I liked Watchmen. I'd watch another movie of his. I would not watch any more DCU of his. But I'm with Tim on the annoyance of the whole thing around it.
I agree.
But yeah, but that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong about my feelings about the way he has portrayed Superman. I have a very strong feeling about that character, and I deeply hate where he went with it. And so, whatever, I just don't want to see anything that has to do with it.
Are we getting a reboot of Superman now anyway? So,
are you talking about the television series?
What's that?
The television series or the? Oh no!
No, there's a.
No. Is there a reboot movie in the works?
I
think at some point.
Yeah, I've seen that. People don't know if the Bill's in or out, though.
Right.
Henry Cavill's in or out. But I think he's out.
I think he's out too. Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces, but nothing concrete.
I think it's another the Batman thing where Ben Affleck is still going to be in some stuff, but not other stuff. And by the way, Lizzie, I only threw that in because you were starting to break up, so we couldn't quite make out what you were saying. But I knew that was a thing for you, and I wanted to represent your opinion about the Superman thing. I agree with the whole nonsense behind the scenes about the Zack Snyder stuff. I guess it's been long enough that I haven't paid attention to that anymore, but I agree. I don't want this to set a precedent.
But it is probably one of the bigger releases coming up in March. So
big time.
It'd be interesting to see how it does and what happens.
It will be the thing people talk about the most.
Right. Then we're going to have a couple of things from Disney Plus on the 19th. We're going to have Disney's Big Hero 6, the series, coming on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Based on the Big Hero 6 movie with Baymax. That'll be kind of fun. That was a fun character to go back to. And we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus as well on the same day. So 2 big things for Disney Plus.
The Big Hero 6 series, I think a lot of people are underestimating. I think the concept for it sounds pretty good.
Well, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie, and they set it up to become a series. I mean, that movie was really, I thought they were going to have a series almost ready to go out of the gate from when the movie was released, but they didn't.
You remember how he was originally created to be almost like a nurse bot, like a helper bot sort of thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
So this series apparently is going to be more about him doing that and going throughout the city, helping different people out. And apparently, I guess the other characters will make cameos at different points. But so it's going to be a little less purely superhero-y and more about him. And I'm sure he uses his abilities for different ways and stuff, but it's really about him, kind of.
Which is too bad because, they set it up to be, they built this team in the movie and I kind of thought they were going to take that team and go forward with it.
They may. Quote, helping people. How do you define that? It could be big epic level stuff, or it could be, lost kitten in a tree or something.
There was a rumor milling about a few days ago, by the way, that Big Hero 6, because it is a Marvel comic, was going to be introduced to the MCU, and that rumor has been debunked. That is not happening. The comic really never had any interaction with the rest of Marvel Comics anyway. It was very much just its own thing. And while I agree with you, Lou, I really liked the Big Hero 6 movie. I think Baymax is an awesome character. I don't see any room for that character in the MCU. It just doesn't fit.
No, it wouldn't fit. Right.
I had a lot of concern when that, and it wasn't milling about as a rumor. It was people were saying, "Oh, this is going to happen," and then finally, Variety. Variety is one of the go-to outlets for a lot of pop culture stuff. Variety called Marvel Studios and said, "Hey, is this happening?" Marvel Studios laughed and said, "No,
Okay,
not happening."
Let's see. On the 26th of March, we're going to get Invincible, an animated series on Amazon, and The Mighty Ducks Game Changers on Disney Plus as well. So
the Invincible, that is the animated series based on the comic book by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one I was talking about before, where the trailer for it looked really good, and I thought I'd show it to my son, and then the trailer went on, and when blood started spurting and heads exploded and stuff, I'm like, oh, maybe not so much for my son.
It is. Did you miss the point about Robert Kirkman, Eric?
Yeah, but I know other people who have done like adult things and then also children things. It's about,
oh yeah.
you know, Stephen King wrote a book for his kids, like, you know.
Yeah. And a lot of the cast of The Walking Dead is also doing a lot of the voice acting in that as well. So
okay.
Yeah, that stands to be really, really good. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Cool.
The Mighty Ducks. I'm sorry. Either of you guys into the Mighty Ducks at all?
No, never got into the movies.
Yeah, me either.
Not on my radar, really.
And I know Emilio Estevez is going to be in the series again.
Okay.
But,
you know, I liked the first one. The second one much less. The first one was a fun movie.
Yeah.
I'm not really particularly looking forward to this one though.
Okay.
I mean, the premise is fun, but it's there.
And lastly, in March we have Godzilla versus King Kong.
Breaking news with this one, by the way. It was just recently announced by me that John Boyega will be in it, and it will be featuring a number of Jaegers to kick the ever-loving crap out of both Godzilla and Kong.
Which one's piloted by Grand Admiral Thrawn?
The biggest one, of course.
The biggest one, of course, with the best firepower, and
the blue one. Yeah.
I have to say, I watched.
I think Lizzie is in with that, though, right?
What with the kaiju?
Yeah. No.
I'm in with.
He's saying with the Jaegers joining in to Godzilla versus King Kong. You're in with that.
Oh, her internet is terrible.
Did we lose her again? Yeah, we actually lost her for a couple of minutes. She came back.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, I heard her.
I'll just be a fly on the wall. Just say.
Oh.
And ironically, that came through clear as day.
Perfectly clear, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh boy.
I will say I watched the Godzilla, the new, like the two most recent ones. I watched the first one recently, and it was a lot better than I would have thought. And I am going to watch the second one prior to this coming out.
So I haven't seen any of the new Godzilla movies or even the Kong movie, because the recent Kong movie is part of the same.
Yeah, so you've got King Kong, the one, the Peter Jackson one, and then which I actually thought was good. Listen, for some reason, people don't seem to like it that much. I enjoyed it. I've seen it a few times, and I thought it was really good.
The Peter Jackson one?
Yeah.
But that's not part of this new redoing of... Oh,
yes.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was the first one, and then we move on to Skull Island, Kong Skull Island, which I didn't... Like, it wasn't bad, but I didn't care that much for it. It was okay.
That's the one with Mace Windu, right?
Yeah, it was fine. Yeah.
I like it.
And then separately, you've got the two most recent Godzilla movies. One, I want to say it was like 2014. And then you've got the recent Godzilla King of the Monsters. And of those, I've seen the first one. Like I said, I'm going to watch the second one prior to the end of the month. And I got to say, like, I didn't care for any of the other more recent Godzilla movies, especially that one back in 2000 with Matthew Broderick. Oh, that was horrible. But this was actually pretty decent. There was a story to it. There was, like, they made it make sense. They made what the characters did make sense. It wasn't just about some big guy in a rubber suit knocking over buildings. It had, I don't know, it had some meat to it.
Okay.
They very much need, though, these movies seriously need an emergency management consultant, because they're not like getting the government response to these things like correct at all. So just putting it out there,
I'll pass your name along.
You know, I'm good for this. Yeah.
Wait. Now, Tim, are you trying to say if the government got involved earlier, the whole Godzilla problem wouldn't be a problem? They'd solve it quickly. Is that what you're saying?
Oh no, not at all. No, they're still totally screwed. But it's just how they go about getting screwed.
They would be screwed in a much more organized fashion.
Yeah. But still, I would be championing, the appearance of John Boyega and the creation of Jaegers.
Now that we're done with this list, can I just say that nobody made a single comment on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Because Lizzie and I have already talked really, really extensively about
I know, but it's the one opportunity Lou and I have
to say.
See, and I don't know much because I mean I know about it, but I haven't been looking for spoilers and stuff and getting into it because I want to experience it fresh when I watch it. So I don't have a lot to say about it yet either. I mean, I'm looking forward to it as much as I'm looking forward to the next episode of WandaVision when it comes out on Friday. But that's probably about all I have to say about it.
I think we're also in full WandaVision mode, and that's a different. I mean, it's the same universe, but. I have a whole preparation that I'm going to do leading up for the road to Falcon and Winter Soldier that's going to pull me into that storyline. So they're very much separated in my brain. I do think that as soon as it hits and we all start talking about it, we'll all forget about stupid Justice League anyway. So.
Oh, well, moving on to our lightning round.
Yes.
Now, Eric, you put these together, right?
I put all this together, Lou. That's why there's nothing in here.
Since you've done them, you go through the lightning round and we'll just kind of snicker and comment.
Okay, so here we go. The Mortal Kombat teaser trailer is now the most viewed red band trailer of all time. Now, what that means is that the trailer itself is R-rated.
Yep, and it should be.
Yeah. I mean, that Invincible trailer almost should have been, but.
I know it's a lightning round, but just out of curiosity, thumbs up, thumbs down from all you guys on a new Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, looking forward to it, not looking forward to it, could care less.
So in general, video game movies typically really suck. I mean, so far this one, it doesn't look too silly. It doesn't look too stupid. I don't know that it's going to be great, but it doesn't look that bad either. I'll give it a chance. I don't think I'd pay to see it in the theater, but given that that's not the case anyway, yeah, I'll check it out when it's released. It might be,
Okay. Lizzie, you have any opinion?
Would not care less.
It's Lizzie, and it's a Mortal Kombat movie.
I was just asking, and Timothy?
I am going to be just as excited for this as I get excited about a new Fast and Furious movie.
So not at all.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm like, that doesn't help me. Okay.
Yeah, which is to say, not much.
Okay. I'm not excited for it, but it looks okay. The effects look okay. The choreography looks okay. I'm like, it'll be a fun popcorn movie.
Me, I mean, I know it's a video game movie, and they typically suck. Stories are bad. They're cheesy. They don't really work. But Mortal Kombat was huge when I was a kid, and it was
totally.
This is something I'd love to see them succeed with it, but it looks better than what we got in the past.
Oh, much better.
Was there two of those?
I'll give it that.
Was there two of those movies?
There were two. There was a web series that was supposed to have actually been okay. There might have even been a third movie. I'm not sure.
I think there was. I think there were several.
I know there was at least two, but I
think there was a third. I mean, to be fair, though, the game itself was kind of based on Enter the Dragon. So, I mean, there is kind of an environment in which this movie could exist as, I mean, if you look at something like Street Fighter, especially the movie with Van Damme and all these other people.
Van Damme, yeah.
I mean, this at least there's something there.
There was a story there, right?
Yeah, and there is some world building in the Mortal Kombat universe. The recent games are almost like an extended movie that you play through, and that you stop at different points for combat or certain things, and then it progresses. And it actually had kind of a more epic level storyline to it that, I just sat and watched through the cinematics for, and it was actually not bad. for a video game storyline. Like I'm talking specifically the game itself. It was either, I don't know, 10 or 11. I think it was Mortal Kombat 10. And like, I'm like, yeah, okay. They actually did something with that and it kind of works. They could make a Mortal Kombat movie that does work as a movie. And it kind of looks like this one may be it. Still not excited about it, but I'm not going to diss it either. Like it looks like it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the first movie, it was really exciting to see the first movie because it did make that video game come to life for us. And I think that ultimately is the appeal for a lot of video game based movies. And the stuff that was in Mortal Kombat, I mean, Mortal Kombat is like just such a brutal game, you know, because you're pulling spines out of people and that, you know, all the cool kind of finishing moves that they give in there. And I absolutely love that game. And, you know, so like from that pure, very, very, very superficial aspect, the first movie was fine. But the story obviously struggled. And, you know, and to your point, Eric, so many video games now actually have really good storylines, so much better in some cases than movies, much less than movies that are actually made from those games. So,
yeah. All right, moving on with the lightning round. I have mixed feelings on this one. I think I'm excited about it. Amazon is doing a live action G.I. Joe series based on the Lady J character.
It's a spy thriller.
It is a spy thriller.
Because that's what she is. And I am really excited about this. I'm looking forward to see who they're going to cast. Yeah. I think that can be a lot of fun. Now,
this is very early on. I don't even know what they've got done yet. If they've done casting, they haven't made any announcements.
Right.
I don't know. I grew up with G.I. Joe. I hope they do. If they do it right, I will be super excited about this. Like this will be one of the big things this year for me, if they do it right. They haven't done great so far. So, you know, we'll see how it goes.
They meaning G.I. Joe properties or
live action G.I. Joe properties.
Okay.
Yeah. Even the animated stuff recently.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the original, it really seems like nothing can beat the original animated stuff. And I think we're probably jaded because that's the stuff we grew up with. So there's so much nostalgia associated with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I've really been enjoying getting back into the comics of it lately. And yeah, the movies were, I mean, they were fine. They were fun, but by and large, you know, pretty mediocre. Yeah. I have a lot of hope for this one. And I'm glad that it's not a Snake Eyes thing. And while I love Snake Eyes, but it's like,
well, it's now there's like still a Snake Eyes solo movie coming.
Yeah, there is. But it's just like, that seems to be the thing that everyone gravitates to when it comes to G.I. Joe. And it's like, no, there's a huge, massive cast of characters. And yes, a lot of it is really cheesy stuff with a lot of the nicknames and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Military forces are made up of more than just a couple of ninjas.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really great characters. And you know, Lady J is she's one of the original Joes. So.
Yeah. Wave 2. But yeah. G.I. Joe always had incredible comic books. The cartoon was okay. Transformers, another favorite franchise of mine as a kid, it was the opposite. Like the comic books were okay, but I thought the cartoons were better.
Agreed.
I bring that up because
Speaking of which,
see that we call that a transition in the industry.
Nice transition.
Yeah. And when you have to point it out like that, it means you suck. So Transformers is already an animated series on Netflix as part of their Netflix anime exclusive stuff. They've done 2.
And it's awesome.
It is. They've done 2 seasons, I guess, and there's going to be a 3rd and hopefully more because what they've got so far is they need a lot more story to fill up that 3rd one. Anyway, there is going to be another Transformers animated series coming from Nickelodeon and Hasbro. It is allegedly going to be focused on what they call Generation 1. Transformers. So the stuff from back in the 80s. It will also have a bunch of new characters. So not a whole lot's known about it. It has been officially announced. It's not just rumor. And we'll see when it gets here. Another thing that has now been officially announced and is no longer just rumor is the Fraser reboot. Kelsey Grammer made a big announcement and apparently was all excited about it.
Okay.
I don't know that I am.
I enjoyed the series when it was on. I don't know if I'll enjoy it now coming back. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm same camp. I really did enjoy it when it was when it was first out. It was a great spinoff of Cheers.
Yeah,
and the characters really gelled, and they had a terrific storyline with it overall that I really liked. With something like this coming back, you just never know. I mean, obviously, there's some of the actors that aren't around. How many of the actors who are still around are they bringing back? And it's just it's a different time.
And I think that's the biggest thing too. So I mentioned on our reviews episode that I watched the Punky Brewster, not remake, revival pilot episode today. And it was actually written pretty well. It was pretty decent, but the style was very much like the 80s and 90s sitcoms. And Frasier was a 90s sitcom. And if you look at sitcoms today, The Office has been out for a while now. It's not a today sitcom. It's from many, many years ago. And yet The Office is a very different type of sitcom. Parks and Rec, Community, Scrubs. It's hard to think of something like Frasier coming back and that working as that style of sitcom now. I'm not saying it can't. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know what they're going to do. So if it works, great. It's coming to Paramount Plus. More power to them. Hopefully they can pull it off. They're also bringing, Paramount Plus is, a new Pet Sematary movie. Hard to get excited about that too. And a television series based on the Italian Job.
I'm in on that. Yeah.
I got it done right.
Paramount Plus, the stuff that they're lining up for it is looking better and better.
Which is good because at first I wasn't sold. I mean, I didn't have to be because I get it free with my Comcast anyway. But even then, I never opened it up. But yeah, it's starting to look better. I really hope some of these things succeed. And then finally, David Erickson, whose name sounds familiar. I should have looked it up on IMDb before I started. He's going to be doing a series based on Stephen King's short story called The Jaunt. Now, Lou, I know you've read Stephen King stuff. Are you familiar with that one at all?
I am not. No. Yeah, I do read a lot of Stephen King, but I'm not familiar with that at all. I
grew completely disillusioned with Stephen King's novels, like his longer works, over the years. I think they got worse and worse and worse. He doesn't know how to finish a story anymore. Feels like a lot of the Saturday Night Live skits. They're funny up until the end, and it's like, okay, let's wrap it up, and they just kind of stop. His short stories, though, have always been really good. This, I remember this one clearly. This is kind of like a science fiction one. So I'll give you the basic premise. They design a way to basically open up a portal or a wormhole or whatever it is you want to call it from one location to another and basically teleport. So they have a lab and they have a portal here and a portal here, and they send a mouse through and the mouse shows up on the other end, except the mouse is dead. So they send another animal through, comes out the other side, except the animal is dead. So over time, they realized that at one point they drugged one of the mice or something and sent it through, and it was alive on the other end. So if you're asleep when you go through, then it works. And so over time, they did more and more experiments. They had prisoners who volunteered for testing to go through a wake to see if they could describe what happens as they go through, and that didn't work out well and stuff. And so all of this is kind of like in narrative flashbacks, and it's actually the now in the short stories when this is a common form of travel, and people like line up and get in like an airplane sort of thing that's basically a tube, and they send you through, but they have to put you to sleep before you go through. And a child decides he wants to experiment, and so he holds his breath and doesn't breathe in the nitrous oxide or whatever that puts you to sleep. And you should go back and reread it at some point. I'm not going to spoil like what happens, and that's it. Like it's just a short story. Really good concept, and it always stood out to me. Like it's one of the ones I remember very fondly. One of the few science fiction ones he did. I don't know how they're going to make a whole series out of that though. Like that's literally the entirety of the story, what I just described, without the spoiler at the end. I hope it works out. I just don't know where to go with that as a story, unless it's just kind of loosely based on that. And then somehow, like maybe I don't know, you could introduce like alternate dimensions or going through space or something, like something that happens inside between the portals or something, which is not something that's in the scope of the short story. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, I guess. But that's apparently been greenlit, and that's coming as well. And that's all I've got for the lightning round. That's it.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll have to find out more about the Jaunt. That sounds interesting to me, but we'll see.
It's good. And I forget which. He had 2 collections of books of short stories at the time. One had one of those monkeys, those wind-up monkeys on the front with the little symbols and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It had been called Skeleton Crew, and then there was another one. I think that was in Skeleton Crew. Anyway, like I said, he's got a lot of good short stories. So, and some of them have been made into other movies. Lawnmower Man, Maximum Overdrive, and they all sucked.
What was that?
I really like his short story, Quitters Inc.
Oh, that was so good.
So good. I would never want to see a movie of it, but I think it's so good. I don't know. It might make a good movie, actually.
Yeah, I think actually you could probably do a pretty good movie about that. Maybe even like a miniseries.
The ending would be, you'd have to just let it hang at the end the way it does in the show, in the short story, and just let it hang, the like punchline.
That would work better in a movie, I think, than a miniseries. But yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a good short story. That might have been in that collection too. Was there one called Night Shift? Night Shift and Skeleton Crew?
When I read it,
there was a Night Shift collection, from like the 70s.
I think Night Shift and Skeleton Crew are the 2 collections. So between the 2, I'd pick them up even today and read through them. Quitters Inc. was great. Survivor Type was great. The Jaunt was great. For those who don't know, The Running Man was originally a short story. Though that might have been one of the Bachman books. The Long Walk was great. That was one of the Bachman books. The Langoliers was one of the Bachman books. Mm-hmm. Those were 4 longer short stories that were in a collection. But anyway, lots of great stuff in there. Maximum Overdrive, like I said. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. Anybody else got anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think that's about it for me. Why don't you take us out? Cool.
Well, we would like to hear from you. So if you go to randomchatter.com/Discord, hop into our Discord server, and there are channels there for each one of the shows in the Random Chatter Network. Hop into the Random Chatter channel. Let us know what you thought about this episode, about any of the content you're looking forward to seeing that's coming out soon. Like we already covered, March has got a lot of big stuff in it. So as you watch it, hop into Discord and start up a conversation about it and let people know what you think. There's a lot of great people in that community. If you're listening to the show frequently, I think you owe it to yourself to drop in and participate. It's a very non-toxic, welcoming community there. And we highly recommend it, not because we're there, but because we have a lot of audience members who are wonderful people who are there and participate pretty actively. So check that out. Also, if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, go to randomchatter.com/YouTube. Everybody says mash that subscribe and like button. I don't want you to mash anything. Just, click it with a normal amount of pressure. Just, it's just a gentle little click with your mouse or tap it with your finger. I don't want you to mash anything with your finger, but subscribe. Hit like if you like the episode. There's a notification button there that'll also let you know when we go live. We typically go live Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That's GMT -5 for you international people. And then Tuesday nights we do movie chatter, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. We have to talk about bringing back trailer breakdown too. We have to schedule that. And then maybe an extra Star Wars episode each week. I don't know. The Star Wars news has been pretty light. We might just stick with once a week until things pick up again. But we need to bring trailer breakdown. We're going to be streaming that on YouTube as well. RandomChatter.com/store. You can get t-shirts, hoodies with the logos from the various shows on the network. I think that's about it. Everything else should be in the show notes. So that's going to do it for this episode of Random Chatter. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody in the chat room who've been participating with us live. And we really appreciate all of you. Transformers comics when Unicron was back was good. Yeah, I missed the old Transformers comics too. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. For now, take care, everybody, and we will